Welcome to Decaf, where Mark and I today are sporting apparel for our favorite things in the world. I got my Blink 182 shirt on, and he's got his Utah Jazz shirt on.
Is
Don't
that new?
grimace at me like that. Like, let
Is
me
that
live.
new? Is
What?
that a new shirt or is it like
I
old?
got it in 2016 when I went to one of their concerts.
So it's still 6 years after they were relevant, but not new. I got you.
They are still very relevant. I'll have you know. Alt Press was posting about them just the other day because it was
What is alt press?
Alt Press is like the alternative music magazine. Mark, you
Also
don't
not
know
relevant.
you don't know anything about my world of
No,
punk
no, I
rock,
do not. Yeah, yeah.
of
But
my
they, I mean, at least in the mainstream, they have not had hits since I think 2011 looks like their last actual hit.
I did a Peloton ride the other day. We'll talk about my Peloton obsession later, but I did one the other day, and the opening song was a Blink 182 song, and it just really set me on a good 45 minutes of riding. Get that cardio.
The opening song for like, does Peloton have like a soundtrack or your opening song?
No, it's like they do a ride, and so the instructor is on the screen, and he or she picks a playlist, and the first song of the 45-minute ride was a Blink 182 song.
We'll talk more about it because I'm interested in that the pay model there for Peloton. But yes, but Blink 182, not bad, but not really relevant anymore. But either is fastball. So I'm not trashing you. I'm just saying they have not had hits in a while.
You really can't hate on that.
Oh no, they're just, it's weird you got it after like so many years after they were really big.
I have throughout my adult years gone to Atlanta 3 times, drove from Tuscaloosa, from Birmingham, and from Nashville to go to Atlanta to see Blink 182. The obsession is real, and Blink's guitar player who started Angels and Airwaves, they're playing at Marathon Music Works in October, which our new office is at Marathon. So I was thinking, could just come and work for the day and then go stand outside the door and get a really good spot on the front row for Angels.
I can't wait till they play in like the Sevier County Fair. It sounds like that's what's coming up next. But
You're such a jerk. You're such a jerk. Anyway, speaking of going to Atlanta, I don't think that I want to go to Atlanta to see Blink 182. So I'm going to start a petition to bring them to Nashville because I had a friend who lives in Atlanta sent me a text this morning and asked me if I saw the Tucker Carlson story last night of Atlanta, and I don't have cable, so I didn't see it. And Tucker is a little dramatic, but last night he did, I guess it was last night, he did a story about Atlanta's mayor, Keisha something Bottom.
Lance Bottoms.
Lance Bottoms. He did a story about her and how basically her treatment of the police has resulted in police deficiencies and a large rise in crime in Atlanta. And it was really sad to hear. I guess I'm just out of touch because when I lived in Alabama, growing up in Anniston, we would drive the hour over to Atlanta to go shopping, go to Braves games, all this stuff. I haven't been to Atlanta in years. And in his story, he talked about Lenox Mall and how there have been shootings and stabbings and carjackings at Lenox Mall in Buckhead, and how police response time has gone down because of, I'm sure there are a lot of factors, but generally speaking, her treatment of the police and how a lot of police officers have quit and the force has dwindled. And it's just really sad to see, my mom would talk about a long time ago, Atlanta was really bad about crime. Then it got better with good leadership. And then now it's getting worse again. And it's really sad to see that happening to one of my favorite cities. I have a soft spot for Atlanta, and I'm sad to see people not wanting to go there. I'm sad to feel like I don't want to go there and that I would be unsafe.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things there, and the whole reason that I guess the reason Tucker gave, which I don't know if it's true or not, but he said the Rayshard Brooks shooting, and I remember the Wendy's.
Yes.
That after that, basically she fired him right away. I don't think he got, but
yeah, there was no investigation. I'm pretty sure,
and that led to that. What they said is, police quitting, which is a little bit different than what we're seeing in other major cities where some very progressive leaders have just cut the funding. So they've essentially cut which I mean, people haven't had to quit because they've been, let go. And that happened in Minneapolis, that happened in, I think, Seattle, Portland. And one of the big places that it's happening right now, I've been really following closely the New York mayoral race, which is next week. And that has been a huge issue that New York's crime rate has skyrocketed after, I think, Bill de Blasio said he's going to cut $1 billion out of the police budget. It's an interesting issue, and it's something where Nashville, for all of our complaints about Mayor Cooper, has not done that. And in fact, in his latest budget, just added, I think, he's proposed $10.7 million more to the police thing. So with all the issues we have with him, he's never been one of those kind of very far left ideologues who said, oh, defund the police. But it's an interesting conversation, and people are going to have to make decisions that are, people who care about public safety are going to say, well, is this defunding the police working? And if you look, or not defunding the police, but even cutting the police force,
Sure.
is it working? I think that you could see in the cities where they've done it, it has not worked, and the murder rate's gone up. So I do think there's this real issue for these probably liberal, people who believe in a lot of what the left says, but don't necessarily feel safe because of some of their policies, and they have to make the decision on what they're going to do. And I'm not going to make predictions because we'll see, but I do think that there's the top candidates in the New York race seem to be both on the protect public safety side. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But at some point, it comes to a hedge there where you're like, these people are going to say, what is more important to me, the safety of my family or these, $20 minimum wage, Medicare for all these things. And I think it's a tough thing that they're going to have to make a decision on. But I think that this defund the police general movement has not worked. Well, it has been problematic in almost every city it's been tried.
Yeah, and you think about it, you're not only protecting the people that live there, but you're protecting your tourism dollars. No one's going to want to go to a city where you feel like you're in danger if there's no one looking out for you and watching your back. And one thing I want to say about Mayor Cooper allocating that money, we don't at Beacon, we don't really believe in throwing money at a problem and it being fixed, but this is a good example of adequately funding a public necessity. And even in Atlanta, I don't know if they cut the funding for the police force, but even just comments that demean the police, those guys just quit. It wasn't even, they weren't forced to leave. They left on their own accord because they didn't feel like they were being supported by the leaders of the city. And so I think it's twofold. Like, if you're not respecting, there has to be accountability, of course, but if you're not respecting the people who are keeping your residents and your tourists safe, then they're going to go find something else to do. And that's the market, baby. That's the free market. So,
and Atlanta actually voted, the mayor and the council narrowly voted against cutting police funding. So they did not actually cut police funding. Now, how you treat them publicly matters too. And it's like, and if you feel, as a police person, like if you feel like you're in danger or that you're not being appreciated, not being protected, that's another issue. But just because you increase the funding for police doesn't necessarily mean that's good either. You have to see exactly where it's going with everything. If we are very cognizant of, just like we said, throwing money at a problem doesn't always fix it. I do think taking away a bunch of money from something and you keep seeing the result ends up being, more murders. I think that should be a real lesson, that maybe defunding it or taking away a bunch of money is not the answer, because you see what that is. And it's on top of that, it's how some of these policies are incentivizing people to do, bad things. I saw in California that they made something where it's under, if you steal under $950 worth of something from a store, that it's a misdemeanor, and that you can basically essentially get it off your record. And people, I see pictures of people just going into Walgreens and taking whatever they want in the broad daylight. Like, they bring in a backpack, they're taking razors, cigarettes, shampoo, food, and don't care, because as long as it's under $950, like, you're not getting in that much trouble. And I saw that Walgreens had to close just recently, 17 of their stores in San Francisco. It's like, it's not tenable anymore. We can't make money here. So yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's been something that's 2019 California passed law, and San Francisco has been the worst. And people are just going in and stealing stuff. And it was just the workers see them and they don't do anything.
Oh my God.
But the point of that is to say that public policy and incentives matter the same way that, not giving an extra $300 to somebody who's unemployed from the federal thing for the COVID, their incentive is going to be not to go back to work if they can make more money doing nothing. So I think that is, you have to look at how incentives affect people. And when you kind of incentivize, whatever violence against the police, or you say there's going to be less police officers, guess what? The response time is going to be worse. Guess what? You're going to be more likely to be able to get away with things, whether it's robbery or whatever it is. And if you have less police and less time to respond. So I think it's you never want to just blindly throw money at a problem, but I think that we've seen that cutting these core services has been a disaster, and places that I don't want to go now. I would have been, not that I'm scared to go to Atlanta, but I would have been happy to go. Now I would at least think twice about it. Go to New York City. I love going there. And now I might be like, well, yeah, I'm still fine going, but I have to think about where I'm going and what's going on there.
I know, being more careful. Even, I would say, I was going to say not going out at night, but a lot of these crimes that are happening in Atlanta are in
Yeah,
broad daylight.
that's right. Yeah.
People are just emboldened to commit crimes because they know they're not going to get stopped. And that
And
is
incentives matter, and incentives matter from the government. And if you're incentivizing people to do that and say, you know what, yeah, you can steal, you can rob somebody in broad daylight and you probably won't get caught, the incentive's there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll keep an eye on this because I love Atlanta and I'm hoping to go to a few Braves games before the year is over, but I don't want to go if I'm scared to go. That's not what you want. Let's talk about the other side of the state, the west side of Tennessee, the I-40 bridge. So we may have mentioned this in passing a couple of times, but the Wall Street Journal wrote about it today, and it brought it to the forefront of my mind about how there are, according to Mark's research, 130,000 bridges in the United States that are in urgent need of repair, that are in such disrepair that they are labeled as being in urgent need of repair. And the I-40 bridge is one of those. It's really throwing off supply chain logistics in West Tennessee where, FedEx is there. That's an issue. It's throwing off a lot of people's travel plans on a smaller scale. And unfortunately, in my opinion, unfortunately, it's being puppeted as a reason to pass this infrastructure plan at the federal level that includes a lot of pork that has nothing to do with infrastructure. And that to me is very frustrating because I love to travel. I think that supply chain logistics and management is very important. And I think that if it's called infrastructure, you can't just label something infrastructure and put it in a bill. It's very frustrating. Infrastructure should be treated as that. Mark, I know you have a lot of thoughts, and Justin recently wrote about this, but for me, it's frustrating that something in Tennessee is being touted as the reason to pass a bill that's full of pork. That's my take.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of different studies out there. We don't really know how many bridges need repair. One person said 47,000, one said 130, some other, it depends on of course, every research is different,
Well,
but
even
the
at
fact is
the
there's only 600,000 bridges in the US. So, there,
Yeah.
there is a lot of them that have the urgent need to be fixed. It doesn't mean they're going to fall apart. And that's not what that means, but it means that they need to be updated soon. And Justin wrote a great blog post, which we're hoping to get placed in national publication. It's not done yet. But the fact is that this bridge in Memphis being shut down, which it had to be right now, is costing the trucking industry $2.4 million per day is what it's costing them because they can't go over this bridge. And that's a main thoroughfare. I think there's 50,000 cars per day that go through there. So that's a real problem. And I think that everybody from both sides of the aisle, or at least maybe 98% of people, believe that infrastructure is the job of government. And passing a federal infrastructure plan is not a bad thing. I think it'd probably be positive in a lot of ways if it was focused just on infrastructure. And what that means is roads and bridges that need help, not childcare, not elder care, not anything else that you might like, but has nothing to do with infrastructure. And I think that the left has made a joke out of this, calling everything infrastructure. Like, that's BS. Stop calling childcare is not infrastructure. It might be something you think should be passed. I probably don't agree, but it's not something that is part of this. Do that separately. And this is why people lose faith in institutions. They lose faith in the government, is because you're telling somebody something that is obviously not true. And even the most left, like Bernie Sanders, can't with a straight face say, oh yeah, childcare, definitely infrastructure. It's like, look up the definition of what infrastructure means. So a bill probably should, but I guess I don't know. I'm not going to take, an opinion on federal potential legislation, but this idea that infrastructure bill should be passed is not offensive. At a lot of points we need, this Memphis bridge is a problem. It was cracking. This needs to be fixed. There's a lot of other bridges and roads that probably need to be fixed. What is the number that should cost? Not what should that cost with, universal pre-K, childcare, Medicare for all for Latinx people in the Brooklyn borough or whatever. Like, it's just like they're putting everything they possibly can in this bill, and it doesn't make any sense. So let's focus on actually fixing the problem. We're not against, we're against the government doing a lot of things. Me and you, yes, and Justin, everything. We're not against them doing infrastructure. That is one of their one of their things they have to do. So do it right and stop these other things. And then if the people on the far left want it to be childcare, elder care, universal pre-K, whatever they want, fine. Vote on that separately. And if you have the votes, fine. If not, you don't, which they wouldn't. But that's a separate issue. So stop lumping them all together. Justin did an excellent job, an excellent piece. We will share it once it gets published, but it's a really strong piece, kind of talking about how it really just takes away from any kind of civic conversation when you're calling everything that you want politically infrastructure, it makes nothing infrastructure. And that's the problem.
It's not even politically. Like, I was looking at Twitter when this plan first came out, and it said free Chick-fil-A sauce for all Americans is infrastructure. Like, I mean, it's that ridiculous to be able to try to say that elder care is infrastructure. Like, I'm sorry, that's insane. That's absolutely ludicrous. I mean, my Peloton monthly payment that makes more sense than saying elder care, because at least that's like kind of a bike, and bikes are go on roads. It still doesn't make sense, but it makes more sense than elder care.
Plus, you won't gain like 200 pounds and make it harder on the roads, because that would be harder on the roads if you gain a bunch of weight and didn't have the Peloton, right?
I'm going to be a lighter person, so it's a net loss on
That's
the
right. Yeah, that's right.
road. So
No,
like, even that makes more sense than trying to.
It's ridiculous. But I mean, he did a great job, and and it's not. I mean, I always try to be fair. Like, I mean, in the past, Republicans have said a bunch of stuff. They're like, oh, this is part of our economic tax cut plan. It's like, yeah, you giving whatever $100 million to Amazon is not part of a tax plan. Like you saying you don't pay any taxes, that's not part of a tax plan. So I mean, it is. But right now the left has just gone so insane. I think even people who are completely for this, like all those things, have to be able to say like, yeah, I get it. I am for those things. But like, can we put that separately? Americans don't want that. I think we're kind of done. And if you ask individuals from both sides, like basically, what do you think about pork? Everyone hates it until it's pork they like, then they're fine with it.
Right. I think what you're saying, I say this a lot. I might get in trouble for saying this. I might have to edit it out. But I always say that when a party gets in power, they get considerably dumber and less principled. And so it's like, just because the Democrats are in power right now, everything looks dumb and unprincipled. But if it swings back to Republicans, they're going to put the pork that they like in a bill. So, I mean, it just because we're crapping all over the Democrats right now doesn't mean we wouldn't do it the next day. If a Republican was in power and tried to push a pork bill through. We've done it before. We'll do it again.
And I just, my personal opinion is that is right. But I also feel like the Democrats have not been principled for a number of years. I mean, it's been like, I seriously think since I think Trump kind of broke them. And obviously I have my personal issues with him, but like they haven't been principled the entire time they've been in there, that he's been in there, really since 2016. Even the people who, and that's why, as much as, we really dislike what they stand for with Bernie Sanders and AOC, it's like, say what you want about them, they're at least mostly principled. They have the wrong principles, but at least they stick to them, and they don't say, oh, this is so bad when Republicans do it. Oh, we're in power. Why don't we do this now?
If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And that's what I think we see a lot of times, especially on the federal level with the left. Let's talk about sports. Let's talk about something that we really like to talk about.
Not right now for me, but yeah.
Oh yeah, Mark is miserable. I'll go first. Everyone knows I love golf. Can't help it. Love it. US Open week. There's a big tournament this week. I'm very excited to watch my boy Justin Thomas, even though Mark hates him now because he has missed a few cuts and has cost Mark some money. I'm excited. I found myself this year keeping an eye on Lee Westwood. He's had the second most starts of any professional golfer in a professional tournament, and with no wins. So I would love to see Lee Westwood do something magical this week. Phil Mickelson had a birthday this week, so he's another year older and is a US Open champ. So that's really nice to see him doing well. I always keep an eye on Rory, always love to watch him play, but my heart belongs to Justin Thomas. Roll Tide. Mark, do you have any thoughts on golf this weekend? Any bets?
I made 2 bets that, they seem decent. So I have Answer to win. And I have this guy, I don't know who he is, but apparently he's like not bad. His name's Higo, Higgo.
No idea.
I think he's a young guy who has been playing really well. And like his odds have gone like way up. So I got them both at 66 to 1. That's all I have. I mean, I know that I will not ever pick Justin Thomas again until he wins, which I'm not sure he ever will again. But I'm not sure. But I actually have a funny that you mentioned this. I actually have I had a free $5 bet on there that I put on Lee Westwood.
Really?
Yeah,
I love Lee Westwood.
He was 125 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, I love Lee Westwood. I don't know if they're married.
You should put $5 on him.
I should. I probably have the same $5 bet that you do. I think he's a great dude. I don't know if they're married yet. I think it's his fiance as his caddy. They're fun to watch.
Oh, really? That sounds like really mixing work with your home life there.
I know, she's brilliant, and she caddies for him, which I think is really cool and really cute to watch. But like I said, second most starts without a win in a tournament. So cheering for Lee. Mark, did you to switch gears a little bit to something a little more ridiculous? Did you actually buy those tickets for the cornhole championship?
I did. So me, my friend Soto, and my fiance Kira are going to all be going to the cornhole championships in Bridgestone on Saturday. Now, the benefit of this is, listen, it ended up being about $35 per ticket, but that is not for cornhole. That is for all you can drink alcohol and all you can eat high-end buffet in the Lexus Lounge. So I get a free Lexus, which they have like seafood, steak, carving
Can
stations.
I go?
No, I mean, I already bought the tickets. I mean, you can look, they might be still available, but like, essentially, I'm guessing they were not selling well. So basically I think the ticket was $5 for the actual cornhole thing, $35 for the all you can eat, all you can drink, mixed drinks, buffet, and it's 4 hours. So we were going to kind of me and you were going to hang out anyway during the day. I'm like, that is way less than we'd spend if we just went out to lunch and got a few drinks. Yeah. So we're going to be going, hanging out in the Lexus Lounge and maybe watching some cornhole. I do remember one of my favorite my memories in Vegas is that me and my friend Monty watched the cornhole championships on TV. And somebody in the front shirt had an uncensored shirt and said, "I'm just here to F stuff up." But he had everything. And for some reason, I guess nobody cared at ESPN and it wasn't censored. So like this guy's in the back of the shirt with this thing, like this, 400-pound drunk dude who says, "I'm just here to F stuff up." And I'm really excited to people watch at the cornhole championship. I think that will be maybe the most fun part of it.
That's gonna.
And my dad thought my dad mistakenly thought that it's like, oh, it's a bunch of bros. Like, bros like cornholes. I'm like, no, it's like 55-year-old rednecks who are like 400 pounds who are have gotten really good at cornhole.
That is unbelievable. Yeah, when we were at the beach this year, cornhole was on TV at a restaurant we went to, and it was like Bush's Baked Beans sponsored this cornhole team. Like they had like jerseys.
Oh yeah. It's something weird. I forget who's sponsoring. It's a weird thing sponsoring the cornhole championships this year.
That is,
but it will tell you that like who's ever sponsoring, like you can tell that it's not a bunch of bros. It is clearly some like, which I mean, good for them. Like I think it's awesome. Usually Johnsonville Brat sponsors it.
That makes sense. Cookout, like big cookout foods.
Oh yeah. But I think it's awesome that like these people do this. Like it sounds incredible. It sounds like it's something that's like, man, these guys are just living their best life. They're coming here. If they win, they're probably making like $3,000. Like it's not like they're winning millions of dollars. Like they basically just like to probably drink and play cornhole. Like I'm really good at this, so why not go and travel like the country and play cornhole?
I like to drink and play cornhole. I'm not very good at it, but I could try. Are you going to place any bets for cornhole?
I don't think you can even bet on that. I think it's even too like weird for like, and I mean, my fiance made a funny joke. Like we should just like pick some guy and put a sign for him, be like, "Oh man, go this guy." But I have no idea who's competing. But I think it'll be fun, and I think it's more of a good story to tell that like, oh, when the cornhole championship was here, I was there and I was drinking and eating good food all day for 4 hours.
Mark's gonna get drunk and just pick someone out to cheer for the whole time.
There's probably like 12 people there. I think we get like it's all general admission seating, so I feel like once you're there, like there's gonna be no one there. Like I am interested to see. I'm kind of saying over under 300 people total in Bridgestone, which is like holds I don't know 15,000 people.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they got a really good deal during the pandemic. And Bridgestone's like, oh, I don't know if it's going to be back by now. And they're like, oh man, we should really void this contract, but we can't do it.
We got to do it now. Got to. Speaking of betting, all right, with UT and Vandy in the college baseball championships, who are you going to put your money on?
I'm not betting on it. I don't know enough about it, but I know Vandy is a slight favorite, and they have kind of two of the best pitchers. I think they're going to be 2 first-round MLB draft picks. Lighter, and I think it's Kumar. Like that, these are just like stud pitchers. So without knowing anything, I'm guessing Vanderbilt's a slight favorite, so I'll go with them. I know they have a good team. They have a good history of. I think they've won a few national championships, so they seem like the best bet. I don't know. I think is Alabama good at baseball or not?
No, we're terrible.
Really?
I was cheering for Arkansas this year just because I like them more than anyone else. I mean, I would rather have all my fingers chopped off one by one than cheer for UT in anything. So I would also be going for Vandy. And my guy, Dansby Swanson, Braves shortstop number 7, went to Vandy. So
he's really underachieved though. I mean, he was like number 1 overall pick. They thought he was gonna be a stud. He's like, he hit 6th in their lineup. Like he was supposed to be a transformational talent. He is a little bit better than average MLB player. That's it. Like, I can't believe how his hype was so big for what he is.
You always hate on the men that I love in my personal life and in my sports
Oh
life.
no, I mean like he's fine, but it's like that's like when you draft somebody number one, you expect them to be a transformational figure, not a guy who bats 60 in your lineup.
Well, he's very handsome and he's good at
Oh,
what he does. So
I'm not arguing about his looks. I'm just saying that he has been really he's really underachieved for what they thought, and like he's got to be one of the biggest busts probably in the past 10 years. Because
no, no.
how?
He's done very well this year. I will say this season he has done well. Look him up. He's done really well this season. He's not Freddie and he's not
He's
Acuna.
hitting he's hitting 237. That's horrible. His on base is less than 300. That is like he is a under borderline. Like when they talk about replacement players, which is the average player, he is under that. So he's had a terrible year.
I have rose-colored glasses. I'll admit it.
I
But
think he might be blind because I mean he's had a terrible year. He's had a bad career. He's hitting less than 250. He's actually had a better career than he has this year, but he's hitting under 250 for his career. He doesn't get on base that. He doesn't have the power that people thought. He is a mediocre player and he's not young anymore. He's 27. So like he's done. He is a guy who you can start him. He's fine, but like he's gonna hit in the bottom of your order. He's like fifth, sixth, seventh, and that's what he is.
just let me be blissfully in love and blind to the truth, Mark.
Just ignorant. Yeah. Don't completely
that's my
just
MO.
ignore every stat possible and say that he's great. He's having a good year.
That's my MO, being blissfully in love and blind to the truth. And that's
I agree with you that he's handsome.
yeah. So just let me have that, okay? Just let it happen. So last topic, I'm gonna just open myself up to Mark roasting me. I talked about my Peloton that we got in my house. My roommate and I are splitting the cost of it. I also started Whole30. I'm so hungry because you cannot eat Cheez-Its on Whole30. And
so hold up, I was with Kira and we were driving and I said, Taylor's doing Whole30. I don't know what that is. So I looked it up. So I kind of see what it is. And you can have meats, but they have to be like all natural meat. Like what, like you have to basically get it from a farmer's market, right? Is that correct?
I'm not okay. So I will say my friend Davis and I are doing it a little bit modified because we're going to go longer than 30 days. Like we're going to try to make it kind of like a now through the end of the year thing. And so we're modifying
It's like
it.
whole 200 then.
I know. That's why we're modifying it a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm allowing myself to have rice and cheese, and she's allowing herself to have rice, quinoa, and beans. And so
you can't have quinoa?
No.
Quinoa's super healthy though. Like I feel like that's dumb to not be in a diet.
But it's like you're taking out all grains and things like that. So we're letting ourselves have a couple things. And then
can you have meat as part of that or not?
Oh yeah, I'm eating a ton of meat.
Okay. And seafood too, right?
Yes, seafood, all that kind of stuff. Bacon, eggs. It's almost like a keto kind of thing. But
I was gonna say, so I want to say this is the point I made. I think it's right. So years ago, there was the Atkins diet, right? Which is like a fad diet. I know my dad lost a lot of weight, but it wasn't good for you. I feel like they have rebranded that like 5 times. It's basically the same thing as Atkins. It's keto. It's this Whole30. It's like, and they just have rebranded. There's another one, but yeah, they've rebranded because like I feel like people are like, oh, this isn't good for you. Let's basically do the same thing. We'll switch like one thing to make it different and call it something else.
Well, and that's why we're not doing it like in earnest, like full Whole30, because we know that elimination diets don't work. But so basically what we're saying is for the first 30 days, we are going to eliminate alcohol completely and then only reintroduce it on weekends. And we are also eliminating all sugar. So
instead of Whole30, why don't we call it half 180? Because it feels like you're kind of half doing it, but for a longer time. So that's like a better name for it.
Sure. But I am being very strict about like the Whole30. Like I might reintroduce some other things after 30, but I am, other than rice and like the occasional cheese, like feta sprinkled on like a bowl or something, I'm really being strict about the Whole30, especially with the alcohol. Our friend is getting married next weekend, and that's gonna be
oh man. Oh, what? See, that's where I feel like I would do the alcohol thing for 30 days, but you have to make sure there's nothing like that in that 30 days.
I know.
So you're gonna go and it's gonna be open bar and you're not gonna drink at all?
I might cheat a little bit. You know, I have trouble.
Okay, so you're not being that strict in the alcohol then it sounds like. It sounds like you're kind of really going backwards. I mean, I would never set it up with like a wedding.
Yeah, we started doing it and then we were like, crap, my roommate's getting married and there's going to be like so many opportunities to drink, but we're just going to do it in moderation. It's all about like staying like.
You went from being very strict about the alcohol for 30 days saying, oh, I'm going to do it in moderation. It sounds like you don't really know how you're doing this.
I know. I'm going to give myself grace next weekend if I decide to do it, but I'm going to go into it with the intention of saying, I am not going to drink at this wedding.
I'll bet you $1 million you join this wedding. When you go in thinking that I might do it, you always, not you, just everyone always does it. Unless you have the strict, I will not do it. I'm not gonna give myself any grace. But you're gonna do it.
We'll see. We'll see. I'll update after the wedding. But in addition to that, my roommate and I got a Peloton, and we're deciding we're gonna have like it's too late for hot girl summer, but it's not too late for hot girl fall. And so we're really shredding on the Peloton. And honestly, I love it. It's so easy. I just hopped out of bed this morning and walked into this bonus room that I'm in and just got on the bike and listened to some Ariana Grande and burned 230 calories. So,
and you just got to make sure from what I sent you that all your information doesn't get hacked. So apparently that's a thing. It's like people are hacking, like hackers are doing Pelotons, and they're trying to get you to sign your Netflix and stuff like that and taking the information.
I'm glad that I know that though, because I haven't integrated any of my like services with the Peloton. I just
I would not probably, right?
Peloton. And I mean, honestly, it said that they were hacking cameras. Ain't nobody want to see this during the middle of a Peloton ride. Okay, like sweat dripping, like it's not cute.
Yeah.
Like
who even puts on their camera for that?
I've never turned on the camera. I don't know how to turn it on. So yeah, anybody want to be seeing what's going on? My sweat was like dripping off my nose onto the floor when I was doing the stretches earlier today. There was like a puddle of sweat on the floor. So yeah, you don't, if you're thinking about hacking my camera, like hack someone who's like way cuter when they exercise. Like this is not something that you want to see. I promise you that. Yikes. But Mark, if you ever want to come over and try it, you're not super coordinated. So I would love to see.
What is again? I can't ride a bike. I'm pretty good. But I mean, I saw you ice skate. You saw his pretty coordinated ice skating. I think I think that you look bad on that one. And rollerblade. So I just never learned how to ride a bike. I probably could.
I mean, it's a stationary bike, so I hope you could do this.
I could do that, but I mean, no. I mean, Kira has a cheaper version of that. So I mean, I actually like the bikes at the gym because they don't. And I've actually heard they're better for you than treadmills, just like your knees and stuff. Like really take a beam on that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no impact.
No, I mean, I'm glad you got that. I'm glad that you're happy with it. It was a lot of money, so I'm really glad you're happy with it.
Yeah, my roommate and I are doing like a 2-year payoff program because she and I are like roommates till marriage does us part. And so we're like, neither of us will be getting married in the next 2 years.
Oh yeah, you might be able to do a 20-year plan.
That was so mean.
I'm just joking.
That was so mean.
Well, I mean, I think you know why I say that, because even like these men that you do, like you won't actually take any steps to do anything. So it's based on your personality, nothing else. And
it's probably for the best because I have really bad taste in men. Like if I like a guy, there's something very wrong with him.
Well, we won't go into detail, but I think there is one guy who you kind of like, and he seems actually kind of cool, but you won't do anything. So
that's true. I mean, story of my life. Mark will give me hell about this until the day I die, because apparently,
or until you actually do something. But the dying seems more likely first.
Yeah, you just said like the 20 years. So yeah this is kind of.
I'm giving you grace. I'm saying that in 20 years you'll figure it out. Maybe you're saying dying. So.
Oh, good.
I have more faith in you than you do.
I'll be a 49-year-old bride. Can't wait.
There's worse things.
This is getting really bad for me, so I'm going to end it. But before I end it, I will say this is our 100th episode. So, Mark, it's been kind of a pleasure, kind of a pain to do this with you for 100 episodes.
I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about that. Yeah, 100. That's a lot of episodes.
It's a lot.
We've been doing this for 2.5 years, 2 years.
About 2 years. I really wish that I'd been keeping an insult count of how many times you've insulted me over the last 100 episodes. Because I
wish we knew about this. We could have like a party hat and like those things that you.
I didn't think about it until we were halfway through, and then I thought, oh, it's the day. So happy 100th episode, Mark.
Thank you for not murdering me. I'm glad that we're both still alive.
Yeah, thank you for not making me go play in traffic with all of your insults. Yeah, I'm glad we're still alive. We'll see you next week for 101. Bye, guys.